Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have numbers. I said that I was going to dig into the finer details of the Jamal Adams extension once we got them. Well, we now have them. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about the exact numbers here and what they mean and where that leaves us going forward. So, Field Goals posted an article that does a pretty good job breaking it down earlier this morning. I'm going to use these numbers and then try to figure out how we as fans should feel about them. So, the full language of the contract can be found on actually this PFT article, but Field Goals goes ahead and parses through it and basically just tells us the important stuff. So, cap hits. That's really what matters to us, right? We know that Jamal Adams is going to get something around $80 million over the next 5 years because it's the 4-year, $70 million extension plus the $10 million he was going to make this year. But what we want to know is how are those cap hits divvied out? And this chart right here lays it out for us. Excuse me. This year, 2021, cap hit reduced to $5 million. So the cap hit for 2021 has been cut in half almost. 2022, next year, cap hit goes up to 9.11 million. So just shy of 9 million. So we're doing really well. These first 2 years are nice and gentle. 2023, things start to pick up a little bit. The base salary goes way up. The cap hit overall goes up to 18.11 million, manageable, especially because the cap is going to be way up by 2023, but it starts to get a lot thicker. 18 million on a safety is definitely a little uncomfortable, although it will be less uncomfortable by the time we get there because other safeties like Jesse Bates are going to sign even bigger contracts probably. 2024, we accelerate even further. And the cap hit this year will be 23.6 million. And 2025, the final year of this contract, it goes all the way up to 24.5 million. So it gets very fat these last 2 years. One little thing to mention that isn't really worth real consideration because this will never happen, but about half of Jamal Adams' guarantees over the life of this contract are tied into an option bonus that kicks in a few days after the 2021 season ends. So if we cut Jamal Adams next offseason, right after the season ends, like within a few days of the Super Bowl, we could get out of these option bonuses, but we're never going to do that, and we would still have to give him the signing bonuses, so it's just more, putting some ability to wiggle out of the contract if he suffers some sort of massive injury, I guess. But I seriously doubt that will be an actual consideration. So what we really need to understand here is that Jamal is going to take these cap hits for the next 5 years. And if we want to release him before the final year of this deal, which is possible because that's, 4 full seasons down the road, the dead cap hit looks like it would be about 7.1 million, which is not great, but manageable. All right. So there are a couple different layers to this. There are a couple different things that are worth talking about right now. The first is this $5 million figure. As you can see, his cap hit before signing this extension was going to be about 9.9. So, like I said, cut in half. And Spotrac isn't 100% accurate on these numbers, but they do a really good job and they come really close. Get out of here. You got this whole room to fly around and you decide to land on me. What is that? Get out of here. Boy. Anyway. So, Spotrac is not 100% accurate on this kind of stuff, but as of right now, they calculate that using only our top 51 contracts, we had, before this extension, about $5 million in cap room. Now, you carry 53 players, so take a little chunk of that out. And then you have to pay your practice squad, So take another little chunk of that out. Maybe I think it would be something like 2 million for the practice squad. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's around 2 million for the season for a practice squad. And this Lockett number, I believe, is still incorrect. It's still actually like 1.25 million less than this. So if you put it all together, before the Adams extension, I think we probably had about 3 million in cap room. After this extension, we would then now have about 8 million, which means you could go out and get something else. You could go get KJ Wright. You could go get Richard Sherman. Could go get Austin Ryder. Could go get Russell Okung. A little bit of money has been freed up if you're interested in that sort of thing. The second consideration is 2022. We're not going to go further than that because projecting salary cap 2023 and beyond is kind of a fool's errand. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how much money the league's going to make the next couple years. We do have some idea the cap is going to skyrocket next year, but beyond that, we're just guessing. But if you guys remember, I did do a study on what the 2022 salary cap might look like and what our cap hits looked like. And I added up all the contracts that were currently on the books. I added in some predicted dead money. I added in extensions. I added in estimated 2022 draft picks. And I came to the conclusion that we would have about 38.5 million in cap room for 2022's offseason to sign outgoing free agents, which I listed a lot of them here, and to also sign some new free agents if need be. Now, when I did that number crunch, I estimated Jamal Adams' 2022 cap hit would be 13 million. Well, it's actually only 9.11 million, so it's a good deal less than I was thinking. 911. And that frees up an additional almost $4 million that I wasn't anticipating. So that gets us all the way to 42 and a half, almost, just a little shy of 42 and a half million in cap room for the 2022 season. Meaning that you now have even more room to re-sign a guy like a Quandre Diggs, Gerald Everett, Dwayne Brown, if we get to that point. We'll revisit the Dwayne Brown thing later. Brandon Shell, Akella Witherspoon, Ethan Posick, maybe, well, Aldon Smith's obviously out of the question now, but you have more money now to work with than even I was expecting, and I was expecting quite a bit. So that's how I would analyze this. This is pretty good for the next couple years. And even though this doesn't look good right now, 23 and a half, 24 and a half, we don't really like that. By the time we get there, there's a very good chance it won't look that bad at all. And this last year, who knows? 2025, we could cut him before the season starts and save, over 15 million. We could extend him and stretch the cap hit out over years. There are definitely ways around that. I'm not worried about that right now. But, yeah, looks like a pretty agreeable contract structuring to me as long as we get what we expect from Jamal the next 5 years. So let me know what you think down below. Do you want to go spend the savings on Jamal Adams' cap hit this year on another player? Who is it? How are you treating this situation? Let me know in the comments. I'm getting out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. There are the deets.